The alarm shrieked through the crystalline halls of the Galactic Youth Academy, its piercing wail sending students of 100 species scattering for shelter. Professor 13's 3 hearts hammered in their chest as they watched the security feeds with mounting horror. The Krothzil had escaped. How? Demanded Commander Vosh, their scales rippling with barely contained panic. The containment field was specifically designed for apex predators. Power fluctuation in Sector 7, 13 replied, manipulating the holographic displays with trembling tentacles. It was only down for 3 seconds, but that was enough. On the screen, the Krothzil moved through the corridors like liquid death. Native to Proxima Theta, the creature stood nearly 3 meters tall, its obsidian carapace gleaming under the Academy's lights. 6 blade-tipped limbs carried it with terrifying grace, and its sensor cluster eyes saw in 17 different spectrums. The species hadn't evolved, they'd been designed by nature as the perfect killing machine. And this one's cubs were somewhere in the Academy. The Krothzil had been brought to the station as part of the xenobiology program, a rare opportunity to study one of the galaxy's most dangerous species. But strict protocols had been violated. The creature's offspring, still in their vulnerable larval stage, had been separated for educational purposes by an overzealous administrator. Now Mama was coming to collect. Evacuate Section 4 through 7, Vosh ordered. Get the students into the emergency pods. And someone find those cubs before. Sir, a technician interrupted, their bioluminescent patches flashing with distress. We have a problem. The cubs are in the Human Interaction Lab. With Instructor Martinez. The control room fell silent. Humans were the newest species to join the Galactic Coalition, and their reputation preceded them. They came from a death world where everything, from microbes to weather patterns, tried to kill them. They'd somehow evolved empathy alongside aggression, pack-bonding instincts that bordered on pathological, and a disturbing tendency to adopt anything they deemed cute. Get her out of there, Vosh hissed. Humans may be durable, but not against a Krothzil. The feed switched to the interaction lab. Maria Martinez, a stocky woman with graying hair tied back in a practical bun, sat cross-legged on the floor. The 2 Krothzil cubs, each the size of a large dog, were curled against her sides. She was reading to them from a datapad. Instructor Martinez, 13's voice crackled through the comm, you need to evacuate immediately. The adult Krothzil has breached containment and is heading your way. Maria looked up calmly at the security camera. How long do I have? 2 minutes. Maybe 3. Then we'll wait here, she said simply, returning to her reading. The cubs chittered softly, their still developing sensor clusters fixed on the images she was showing them. Have you lost your primate mind? Vosh exploded. That creature will tear you apart. No, Maria replied with infuriating certainty. She won't. The control room watched in horror as the Krothzil approached. The creature moved with purpose now, following the chemical signature of its offspring. It rounded the corner to the lab, and every being in the control room held their breath, or equivalent respiratory pause. The door exploded inward. The Krothzil filled the doorway, all rage and razor edges, mandibles spread wide to reveal rows of crystalline teeth. A sound emerged from its thorax, a hunting cry that evolution had perfected over 100 million years to paralyze prey. Maria didn't move. She simply looked up and said, "Hello, Mama. Your babies are safe. They've been fed and kept warm. I promise." The Krothzil froze. In the control room, 13's translator struggled with the subsonic frequencies the creature was emitting. Finally, it rendered, "You did not harm them?" "Of course not," Maria replied, gently stroking one cub's carapace. "They're children. Look, this one likes stories about brave warriors. This one prefers the ones with clever solutions. They're wonderful students." The massive predator's posture changed. The blade limbs retracted slightly. The sensor eyes cycled through different spectrums, analyzing, assessing. The cubs chirped and scrambled toward their mother, who lowered herself to the ground with surprising gentleness. "I'm sorry they were separated from you," Maria continued, standing slowly with her hands visible. "That was wrong. You must have been terrified." The translator crackled again. Why did you stay? Why did you not flee?" Maria smiled, that peculiar human expression that showed teeth but somehow conveyed warmth instead of threat. "Because they needed someone to tell them their mother was coming back. Because they were scared. Because no child should be alone when they're frightened." The Crothzil was silent for a long moment. "Then, you are the human." "I am. I have heard of your kind. You befriend predators. You domesticate apex hunters. You bond with anything." "We do," Maria admitted. "Sometimes unwisely. But these little ones needed comfort, and I could provide it. That's all that mattered." The control room watched as the Crothzil gathered her cubs close, checking them with delicate sweeps of her sensor clusters. Satisfied they were unharmed, she turned back to Maria. "The Crothzil do not forget debts," the creature said. "You protected my offspring. This creates obligation." "No obligation necessary," Maria replied. "Just take care of them. And maybe next time, we can arrange for you to stay together during the program." Commander Vosh finally found their voice. "Instructor Martinez, you're either the bravest being in the galaxy or the most foolish." Maria's laugh echoed through the calm. "Commander, I taught kindergarten in Detroit for 20 years before joining the coalition. Nothing in the galaxy scares me anymore." As security teams carefully escorted the Crothzil family back to properly configured quarters, this time with the cubs included, 13 watched Maria calmly gathering her teaching materials. "The humans are going to be a problem," the professor muttered. Vasha's scales rippled with what might have been amusement. "Or they're going to be exactly what the galaxy needs." On the screen, one of the cubs looked back at Maria, its sensor cluster eyes glowing with something that might have been affection. Maria waved. Yes, 13 thought, humans were definitely going to be a problem. The kind of problem that made you rethink everything you thought you knew about predators, prey, and the thin line between them. The kind of problem that might just save them all.